Good afternoon, Dustin Curtis, National Associations for Gun Rights, Director of State Affairs. I'm here with William Kirk, Washington Gun Law, and we are here in the Evergreen State today fighting a very similar gun control bill that we're seeing in multiple states across America, which is the permit to purchase requirement here in Washington. So as you may know, requires hours of training, hundreds of dollars spent in live fire training, and just to go to the Washington Department of Licensing to ask for permission to exercise your Second Amendment right at the hands of a leftist bureaucrat after you do all of that. And we're seeing that in places like Colorado. We've seen assault weapon bans in Rhode Island that we're fighting right now, and in New Mexico. So, you're a citizen of a blue state. You know what it's like fighting in a blue state.
It's tough.
But what kind of message and hope do you have?
Well, first of all, I want to start with this. This has been a long uphill battle in Washington State for years. They have been systematically taking away our gun rights, legislative session after legislative session. And it seems like we've been kind of alone on an island. And we have some great little state groups here in Washington State that fight like crazy. But I am so thrilled to have a national organization like NAGR stepping in and taking interest in this. This is a big issue. I know your organization is not only worried about this issue in Colorado and in Washington, but nationwide. This is an issue we continue to see popping up. This is going to be a real hot button issue that we're going to see a lot of litigation on over the next few years, because what the viewer needs to understand is that they are literally placing a cost and a permission slip before you can access what is otherwise a constitutional right. And if you just took the words buy a gun out of it and put any other constitutional right in there, like you have to pay and get a permission slip for government before you could vote, before you could go to church, before you could be free from unreasonable government searches and seizures, before you could be free from cruel and unusual punishment, I think when you put it in those terms, it should be pretty obvious just how ridiculous this legislation is. That doesn't seem to stop those in the civilian disarmament regime here in Washington, though.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is, like you said, it's been going on for multiple years, and it's something I hear a lot as a Director of State Affairs for National Association for Gun Rights is, what can I do? They're going to pass it anyways. Wrong. If they had the votes, it would have been passed years ago, just like it would have been passed in Colorado, New Mexico, Rhode Island, the places that we're currently fighting right now today. So that's why we're here in Washington. We delivered 40,000 of your petitions to legislators here against this garbage gun bill. And we're doing this in capitals across the country. So continue to stay involved, continue to keep the hope, and keep fighting.
And I think you raise a good point, because we've seen just recently with House Bill 269 in New Mexico, as well as Assembly Bill 1333 in California. These were terrible bills that from the outside looking in, it would have seemed like these are going to pass with flying colors. And yet the citizens got involved through organizations like NAGR and other worthwhile organizations. They made their voices heard. They went down to their state capitals. They roared like lions, and they killed the bills. So it is still possible in the year 2025 that citizens can make a difference.
Bill, what else is there that people who live in Washington should know about the details about this bill?
Yeah, well, a lot of these bills, they may seem rather innocuous in nature when they first pass. And then you go a few legislative sessions down the road, and they make a few amendments to it. And next thing you know, you're paying $3,500 to get one of these permits. They don't set up the correct infrastructure, because the Washington State Patrol is going to have to do all of this. The Department of Licensing is going to have to do this. There's no funding in the bill. So all of a sudden, you're dealing with 14, 16, 18-month turnaround times to get this. And we've already seen this happen in California, so this is not hyperbole. Then let's talk about this. You are putting on a government form all of your personal information, which is then being what? Left with government. So what have we created with that? We're creating an unlawful gun registry in violation of the Firearm Owners Protection Act of 1986. So this bill has really no good parts to it, a lot of bad parts, and a lot of very sinister and nefarious parts, which the voter needs to be aware of.
Awesome. Thanks for that additional information. And I get this request all the time, especially as we're engaging in multiple states of the National Association for Gun Rights. What can I do in these blue states? It's going to pass anywhere. Well, that's not true. As Bill mentioned, this has been a multi-year effort by the Democrats to try to pass this in Washington. Same with Colorado, same with Rhode Island, same with New Mexico, same with almost every blue state that your National Association for Gun Rights is currently engaged in this morning. So keep the fight, stay faithful, and just keep signing petitions, keep pitching in. I couldn't help but think about it this morning. I put on my lapel pin for my Frontline Defender lapel pin from when I was a volunteer and fighting the assault weapons ban in Virginia back during when they had a Democrat trifecta too. And they're this close to passing the assault weapons ban. And we wouldn't be able to be engaged in all these states without the monthly contributions by the Frontline Defenders and our supporters. So definitely consider hopping on that. And Bill, anything else?
Well, yeah, I mean, he raises a good point here, is that we've seen Assembly Bill 1333 in California get killed. Why? Because of citizen input. We saw the same thing with a horrific piece of gun control legislation in New Mexico. Why? Because the citizens made their voices heard. I know for all of my viewers here in Washington, we feel like we're kind of alone on an island. This is like Southeast Alaska. Nobody really cares about us. And there's good reason to believe that. But we finally have a national organization, an NAGR, that's taken interest in the citizens of Washington, taken interest in what's going on with the legislature, and trying to do something about it. So I'm asking all of you to get some skin in the game. Get in the fight with NAGR. These are the folks that are going to help us win this battle. So I really can't thank you guys enough for being out here and showing interest and wanting to protect the rights of Washington residents everywhere.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.